Is creation an illusion? Is creation a simulation? And, could the idea of the matrix and the such actually be a possibility? See, it might be to a certain extent, but obviously you can't fool yourself that this would all be just a simulation. One has to be quite ignorant of the such because, well, ultimately, we're not here to live a simulation. We are here to live a full fledged life. They're teaching you all of these little pieces of nonsense because what is cancel culture doing to you ultimately? It is teaching you that everything in this world is superficial and can only be superficial. And if you give in to those, well, there is nothing much to do. Everything that is cultural is, well, obviously cancelled, and everything that you're being taught is just nonsensical ideas. Because to an untrained mind, anything can be the truth. As I call it, there is only universal truth. Everything else is just more or less made up. Personal truths can be either made up, because we humans have been programmed to be very good liars with ourselves. It's kind of a Stockholm syndrome. We're causing ourselves less pain so that we don't cause ourselves even more pain, right? By accepting a little lie instead of the big truth. Now, a lot of people might say, like, for example, in Islam, I heard there is a quote that says their God is the greatest of all deceivers. Well, that may be misinterpreted, and well, a lot of people might actually point it out, and I've heard some debates on this. But the question is, why would someone actually think creation itself is the embodiment of deception? In a way, deception itself, well, creation itself, no one is ever gonna be able to perceive creation in its entirety. You can feel creation in a way as a divine process through certain levels of yoga, through certain levels of evolution and acknowledgement of the self, of the layers of your existence, of the mind, the influence that it has over you, and over so many other things. See, the world is in a way an illusion. We don't have to go as far as creation itself being um, let's say deceptive, but everything in this world is deceptive. Your eyes can easily deceive you. How many times have you been looking around for something? You saw something, and for a short period of time, you had the impression it was completely different. Especially if you hate, let's say, bugs. You see something black somewhere down on the ground, for a short period of time, you might even think it's a bug. You look around on the city, and I don't know, some objects put one close to the other might give you the impression that's a cat or a small animal or anything else, right? If you spin around for a while, you'll see that you get a lot of dizzy, right? And afterwards, you may start actually seeing certain things, right? Your mind actually has the power to create certain things in front of you. That is why training one's mind is highly important before entering a spiritual world. Because a lot of people end up putting themselves in trances and all sorts of situations, and they end up communing with certain dimensions of life, and they don't know what they're doing. And this is confusing to a lot of people. You can end up communing with what I call the human karmic structure. Now, this is a very fuzzy meaning because I don't have a better one, but here there are all sorts of aspects, unfulfilled aspects of our race. A lot of people, if they tap into this, most likely they will see angels, they will see embodiments of creation and the such, because these are all just unfulfilled aspects of life, of people, hundreds of generations before us, who believed in different shapes and sizes and forms and all sorts of beliefs far before any of the main Abrahamic religions even existed. And this goes on and on. When you look at your sight system, your sight can process certain colors, but any other animal would perceive them differently. Your smell, well, you may smell something in a way, someone else may smell it differently. Animals obviously will smell them differently. Something that touches you, you can feel it in a certain way. Even your emotion can dictate your touch, right? Even your other senses. Because if you're feeling horny, suddenly you will have far more interest in a certain other person. If you're just normal, that person might just be a normal person. You might not even notice them, right? If someone touches you and you're again horny, or you're into that person, well, that touch might feel a bit more than just a simple physical touch, right? So everything in this life, in a way, is illusionary. And the greater the attachment emotionally, or let's say the more emotion you put onto that, the more you focus on that emotionally, the deeper and the harder it is to resist that pseudo reality. Because your emotions are just a guidance. When you're doing something, well, if it makes you feel good, in most situations it's good. If you're not feeling good, in most situations it's bad. But don't forget, getting yourself used to a lot of things. And this sick society has a purpose. One of them is to make you live a patterned life. When you live your life in patterns, well, repetition is what shortens your life, is what constantly tires you, is what constantly makes you feel that the entirety of life is bad. But if you look at nature, if you look at trees, if you look at birds, their life is much better. Or, well, it is equally better. It doesn't matter whether you suffer or not in the whole scheme of the galaxy, then cosmos, and even the entities around you. They don't care whether you suffer or not. That is your entire power. Animals don't have our potential, especially when it comes to concentrating and to reaching certain dimensions of life. One can reach the entire dimensions of life. Animals have a great perception and they can feel through certain dimensions of life, like snakes, for example, crows, cats, and other animals that we know have a certain mystic aspect to them. But ultimately, life can be very illusionary because even your minds and your emotions, which in a way are very interconnected, these two can easily misguide you, right? If you're feeling depressed, you may have all the cheerful and happy clappy people around you. You're not gonna enjoy that, right? When emotions settle in, well, you're probably used to the fact that they're gonna take their time. The mind can easily pendulate, and again, that can be a bit elusive. Fears that you can feel, your mind has a very great power. Everything it creates, everything it shows you, it can easily fool you that it is real. Fears are probably the best aspect, right? That is why people who want to beat their fear go into dark caves, into places where they are alone and meditate in there, because they constantly face their own fears, right? You're constantly bombarded with fear in these big cities, so it's kind of hard to meditate in the first place. Now, hopefully, this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated, and well, take care, enjoy life, and this being said, Ferenjan Board signing out.